What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Francis Ngannou reacts to comments from Jon Jones. This week, it was revealed that former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou had officially signed with the PFL. As part of the deal, Ngannou has secured himself the right to his own sponsors, a seat as the chairman of PFL Africa, and a guaranteed purse of $2 million for whoever steps into the cage with him in order to help set up the biggest fights possible. The deal marks Ngannou's first official move since parting ways with the UFC. And while many members of the MMA community were excited about the announcement, Jon Jones was quick to fire back at the Predator for claiming that he's still the baddest man on the planet. Calling yourself the baddest man on the planet from across the street? Who does that? LOL. Ngannou was quick to respond, urging Jones to cross the street so the two can finally compete. Of course, Jones is gearing up for his next fight, one that could very well be his last. According to the heavyweight champ and UFC president Dana White, a fight between Jones and Stipe Miocic will likely take place later this year at Madison Square Garden. Jake Paul, who is also signed to the PFL Superfight division, weighed in on the news, referring to a recent piece where the Predator predicted that Nate Diaz would defeat the outspoken YouTuber. "I just read that Francis Ngannou has Nate Diaz beating me. That's why I love him," Paul tweeted. "We are a part of the same company now, but he still keeps it real with his opinion." Despite the news, fans will have to wait before seeing Ngannou back inside the cage. The deal with the PFL will see Ngannou return to MMA in 2024 after pursuing a boxing match this year. From the sounds of things, Ngannou will take a tune-up fight in the ring while Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder sort things out amongst themselves and Alexander Usyk. With the ball now rolling on Ngannou's return and the year nearly halfway over, it seems as though it's only a matter of time before more news surfaces regarding his next fight. Aljamain Sterling pumps the brakes on Alexander Volkanovski fight. Given that bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling has been open about his desire to move up to featherweight in pursuit of two-division champ status, many wondered why he didn't mention featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski after his recent UFC 288 win over Henry Cejudo. In addition to the fact that the UFC was quick to bring Sugar Sean O'Malley into the octagon for a stare down, Sterling does not believe that his performance warranted a call-out. The way he sees things, he wants to call the reigning featherweight champ out after a dominant fight where he performs the way he knows he can. During a recent interview on the MMA Hour, Sterling admitted that during his fight with Cejudo, he miscalculated some of the sequences. Although he was able to overcome that for a big win against Triple C, he believes that making those mistakes against Volkanovski would be disastrous regardless of the fact that he has no quit in him.
I'm honest about that, but I do know, clean these things up. If I look the way I look in sparring, I give Volkanovski a run for his money. I give Yair Rodriguez a run for their money, but I want to make sure not just giving him a run for the money. I want to make sure when I get in there that I know and I believe that I can beat these guys.
As Sterling has maintained, after his next fight, he plans to vacate the bantamweight title so that his friend and teammate Merab Dvalishvili can compete for the belt. Dvalishvili currently finds himself on a collision course with Triple C in the wake of the former two-division champ's loss to the Funk Master, with the fight potentially taking place on the same card as Sterling's title defense against Sean O'Malley. At the same time, Volkanovski is gearing up for a title unification fight against Yair Rodriguez later this year. With Volkanovski's fight against Rodriguez set for this summer, and Sterling likely to fight Sean O'Malley at UFC 292 in August, only time will tell how things could shake out for the Funk Master. Bo Nickal predicts fight with Tresean Gore. Bo Nickal believes that his UFC 290 clash against Tresean Gore will be yet another dominant performance for him inside the octagon. With the fight set to open the pay-per-view portion of the massive card, Nickal will have the eyes of the fight community on him as he looks to keep his unblemished record intact. During a recent interview with Karen Bryant, the collegiate superstar gave his prediction for the fight, saying,
his game plan, he probably, obviously hopes to keep standing, hopes to be able to stay on his feet and, kind of play to his strengths. But the way I see it, I don't really feel like there's any way that he could stop me from taking him down. Even if he defends one, I'm still just going to keep coming at him. I'm ready to go for 15 minutes. And
with the two sides both eager to open up the main card with a statement, how do you see things playing out in Las Vegas? Drop your predictions in the comments section below. Before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. Dana White announces spectacular UFC 291 card. In addition to the previously announced UFC 291 main event fight between Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje for the vacant BMF title, UFC President Dana White announced a slew of thrilling matchups for the card. The co-main event slot for the evening will see former light heavyweight champion Jan Blachowicz compete against former middleweight champion Alex Pereira in Poatin's light heavyweight debut for the UFC. The card will also see Stephen Wonderboy Thompson compete against Michael Pereira in a thrilling fight that had previously been in the works. In addition, Tony Ferguson and Bobby Green will match up in a fight that seems all but guaranteed to produce fireworks. But that wasn't all. White also announced a middleweight clash between Paulo Costa and Ikram Aliskerov, a welterweight clash between Michael Chiesa and Kevin Holland, and a heavyweight fight between Derek Lewis and Marcos Rogerio de Lima. The card is expected to take place in Salt Lake City, Utah on July 29th, and despite not having a title fight in the main event, it could wind up being one of the best cards of the year. Several fighters removed from UFC roster. On the heels of Saturday's UFC Fight Night Charlotte event, several fighters have been removed from the UFC's active roster. The automated Twitter account UFC Roster Watch caught the updates, which were later confirmed. Jessica Rose Clark, Chase Sherman, and Ji Young Kim, who all suffered losses in the UFC Fight Night Charlotte card, are now all free agents. Jessie Jess released a statement on Twitter about the news on the heels of her release, revealing that the fight was the last on her contract. Despite that, she has plans for the next step that she's excited to announce in the days to come. After going 2-0 to start her UFC career, she went just 2-5, dropping 3 straight submission losses in the final 3 fights of her contract. Ji Young Kim, who has now lost 5 straight fights inside the octagon, and Chase Sherman, who has lost 4 of his last 5, also both found themselves as free agents. Kim went just 3-7 inside the octagon, while Sherman went 4-11 during 2 different stints with the UFC. Given their recent shortcomings, the sentiment is that it seems unlikely the promotion will re-sign either veteran. Islam Makhachev under fire. UFC lightweight champion Islam Makhachev is under fire after being pictured alongside accused money launderer and alleged Islamic supremacist Dr. Zakir Naik. Naik is the founder of the Islamic Research Foundation in India, a group which has been deemed an unlawful association in India as a result of intolerant views toward non-Muslims. To date, Naik has been banned from several countries, including the United Kingdom and Canada. According to reports back in 2016, Naik went on the run from Indian authorities after he was charged with promoting religious hatred and several other quote-unquote unlawful activities. This isn't the first time Naik's controversy has spread to the MMA community. During the recent World Cup, there were accusations that Qatar had extended an invitation to the controversial figure. However, those claims were refuted. Despite that, he appeared at the World Cup alongside Khabib Nurmagomedov and was even filmed giving the Eagle a gift. At the time, the MMA community called out Nurmagomedov for his association with Naik. Makhachev posted a pair of photos of he and the controversial figure together this week, along with a caption which read, "More than happy to see you, Dr. Zakir Naik. Thank you for all advices and wisdom words. May Allah protect you and gives you many more years in this life." From the sounds of things, Makhachev's connection hasn't sat well with the MMA community. Today's video was jam-packed with some juicy stories from the fight world. What are your thoughts about what's going on in MMA? Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the MMA Zone to see more videos just like this. See you next time.